Good morning, traders. Let's get right to the trading action. Lot to talk about. Regional banks making moves. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm hungry. I don't got next week. I got this week. Let's get after it.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. Oh, it's Vegas lore, that phrase.
Good morning, traders. Always good to see you guys in the chat. And sorry that we started up a little bit later here today. We're getting ready. We're just talking about the markets, getting after it. And of course, like always, we'll take a look at my swing trades. We'll take a look at whatever trades are out there right now. If you guys have a ticker that you guys want to talk about, definitely throw it up in the chat. That's what it's all about. Hit the like. You guys know where you're at. Live trading with Benzinga here. Let's go ahead. I got my man Zunaid ready to go. Ryan will be with us in just a few seconds, but like always, smash the like team. How we doing out there?
What's going on? Good morning to you.
Always good morning to you, my friend, and happy to hear that yesterday went well.
Yeah, it went well, thankfully. It's always weird when you, because like I don't have any kids that I know of, at least, so it's always kind of interesting when you take care of your parents, and it was an interesting experience, but thankfully he's doing well. He's got a follow-up appointment today, so all is well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, of course. We had a lot of mentions yesterday for you, Zunaid. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but definitely the chat definitely giving you a lot of mentions out there. A lot of love. Happy to see you back, I'm sure. Let's get to the market. Let's talk a little really quickly about what I see. Of course, the major stock of the day, of course, is this WAL, Western Alliance. Regional banks getting a lift today. We'll keep watch on like the KRE to kind of take a look at that as an ETF, or you can take a look at the one that was the scared stock, right? I'll call it the scared stock because no one wanted to pick this one up. Some people took shots when it first came down, but FRC, right, at 12. Will this one get moving today? We'll keep it on watch. Let me run through my swing trades right quickly so that you guys at least know what I'm up to. And of course, you guys can keep up with more of these patterns and how I'm going after it with Start Swing Trading. That will be today, 3 p.m. Eastern. I have Option Mike today, so I'll see you guys later at 3 p.m. DHR Danaher, there's one that I have. I've had this one, of course, from 252. Yesterday was at 260, so I want to see it get back up there. We'll see if it can make a little bit of a rebound. DXEM, another one that I have in a very similar space here. Sorry for the 4 charts. This is what I do for pre-market prep, so I'll switch over to the main chart in a second. But just going to run through them. Dexcom, we'll see if this one holds 118 on pullbacks, continues to the upside. American Airlines, I swung it. I said, you know what? I'm going to go after it. Forget it, Southwest Airlines. I'm going to take a shot here in American. I got in at 1309. We're at 1317. Highs yesterday going into like kind of the 1330s. We'll look to see if this can continue reversing from that bottom. I also took Honeywell, but I got a very tiny starter on this one. I want to add towards 195 today. So if we can get a pullback to 195 on Honeywell, don't mind taking a shot on this one. We'll see what happens there. And of course, you guys sound that alarm because I do have an AI name. I still have sound, baby. I was able to take some profits yesterday. So I said, you know what? I'll swing it. I'll see what happens. I am in at 299. So you guys see, I'm slightly in the red today. Full transparency, right? Gonna let you guys know. But I took profits yesterday into that move towards 310, 312 area. So we'll see what happens today if this can keep moving. For me, this is all on the daily chart, right? And so the daily chart has a nice little setup today, especially if we can get back through yesterday's high, 315, going through 321s and 325s. That's where I think we can get moving to 350. We'll find out what happens today. SoundHound, AI. All right, kicking it to you now, Ryan. What do you got for me?
All right. Well, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the SPY as we always do. Now, remember, yesterday told you that. All right, hang on a sec. Let me mute these. Sorry about that, folks. We talked yesterday about the market and how I was still bearish. Mitch, you asked me directly, what would it take for you to turn bullish. And I told you that it would be a technical move because the fundamentals and the macro environment really doesn't seem all that bullish. The technical move would be a break above this trend line, above the 500-day moving average, and a takeout of the top from February 2nd. Now, one of the things that we've seen here is that the SPY is really kind of running up against this trend line, and we were unable to break that yesterday. We'll look to have a little bit more continuation down here today. And as far as the being bullish, Mitch, we actually had, it was really funny because you had asked me this yesterday in happy hour. We actually had this discussion and we compiled a list of all of the things that are still kind of hanging over this market in terms and from bear. So we have the debt crisis still unresolved. Inflation is still high. Rates are compressing margins and curbing spending. Credit markets are tightening. Broader market is overbought on low volume. Consumers are becoming more delinquent in their debts. Russia is still invading Ukraine. Nuclear saber rattling from North Korea and South Korea and U.S. military drills in the region. Threats of China to invade Taiwan, and U.S. and China are now banning each other's companies. So when I say that I'm in the bearish camp because of some of the fundamental things out there, that's a pretty good list of some of those things. Now, does that mean that the market's going to go down? Well, no. And in fact, the price is showing you that, hey, you know, I've all of these things existed down here when we were testing 384, and the market has rallied considerably. So, Mitch, to your point about sitting on the sidelines for rallies, you're absolutely right. And for this last run up here, I simply wasn't nimble enough. But that's okay, because one of the things I was able to do during that time is find shorter term trades that I was able to make sense of and control. And that's what we're going to keep doing here. So I would say, just as a follow up to yesterday, I'm still waiting for the same thing you and I talked about. But I don't necessarily have a great feeling that that's going to happen or anything. So what we're looking at here on the SPY is this move. If we continue down here today, I expect to find support at 410. I don't think we're all of a sudden going to drop and have a capitulation sell-off that takes us all the way down to some of these key levels. I just don't think that's going to happen. The other thing about earnings is that earnings are coming in stronger than once thought. They're not as bad as feared. I guess we should put it that way. They're not as bad as feared. And so that might be a temporary catalyst to keep us moving forward here. The more we get these little pullbacks, the more we can actually still stay under this trend line and still have some days that feel real positive. So I don't know where the market's going. I'm just kind of reacting to it, playing what I see on a daily basis. And we'll keep covering that here on the show so we can make sense of everything that's going on.
Love it. Love it.
Now, as far as some of the smaller moves, we do have another tranche of smaller moves here today. First one's going to be CJJD. Now, this is a China name. So again, this is off my list per my rules. However, this is showing a potential trade here today. Now, what's going on is yesterday you see a huge drop because they announced an offering. And we have a news headline here today that China Jojo drugstore shares are trading higher because the company announced the termination of its previously proposed offering. So will it go all the way back to 475? Well, I don't know. I mean, we're down here at $1.43, but we might be able to enter this gap, and this could cause some interesting trading. This could set up for a potential trade here today. So basically what I did was I marked off some of the stuff that it was doing yesterday, right? I marked off this sideways channel that we were in for several hours. We were unable to break to the upside and close the gap yesterday. We finally did break down in the afternoon. We took the next leg down, if you will. We set a double bottom before the close. And today we're kind of drifting up on volume. Now, we are a little extended here from the VWAP. So as always, what I would like to see with these types of moves is a regression back towards that mean. If we get that, if we get a hold and then we get a reversal, we could really have a nice setup here in CJJD. So keep that one on your radar today. Next one here is going to be Lunar. And this is Intuitive Machines. We did pop as high as 1426 here, and we do have a catalyst. Intuitive Machines are trading higher if the company announced it was awarded a $719 million NASA contract. I don't know the specifics of the contract. That would be the next point of due diligence. Doubtful that I'll have enough time to do that while we're here in the live program, but that's going to be something to look into. Nonetheless, we still have a nice range here in the pre-market. And actually, I do want to mark this off here. we're actually below the VWAP. So let's see what the volume is like. Remember, we saw some of these yesterday that were up in the pre-market that really just kind of dropped like a stone off the open and then continued to sell off all day. So before we actually trade this to the upside, we want to make sure that this holds one of those levels. So we'll see. Next here is going to be WAL. And Mitch, you already kind of touched on this one. This is going to be Western Alliance Bank. They reported earnings yesterday. Western Alliance Bank Corp shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q1 EPS, including a 35.7% increase in net interest income. So this here showing you some strength. If we take a look at the daily chart here, you can see that this one's also pretty gappy. So let's mark off some of these levels. We did have one candle here that took us up to about 42.75. We'll see if we end up getting in there. And then the top of this gap here is about 71. Now, I don't think we're going to close this gap here today, but it'll be very, very interesting to see if this strength maintains throughout the course of the day and if it spreads to other banks. I know you mentioned FRC. That's also on the list here. I'll be honest, though, this setup doesn't look nearly as nice for a potential day trade as Wall does. Crow, I think you were saying FRC is a dead duck. So I can't find the comment, but I'm pretty sure that's what I read that there. If I'm misquoting you, I apologize. Please correct me. FRC does not seem like the better play here today. I guess we'll watch it and see what some of the other banks are doing. By the way, just as kind of a note, since we're talking about banks, Morgan Stanley down here today after its earnings. And let's go back to some of these small caps here. GMPX, this is Genprex. I actually traded this back in a former life. Looks like it's really trying to run up to 120. Don't have a whole lot of volume here, so that's one of the things I'm going to be looking for out of it. If the volume picks up here, I've actually seen this stock move before. I think that this might be in play again today. I think that was there news on VYNE. Let me see. Yep. Excuse me. Vine Therapeutic shares announces positive preclinical data for inhaled formulation of VYN201 in an in vivo model for idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Boy, that was not easy to say. Anyway, we have that PR out here today. This is trading up. A lot of selling volume. I really want to see again if this can kind of catch some support, right? We're a little bit extended away from the VWAP, so maybe we'll get a trade back up to the VWAP. Zunaid, I don't know what's on your list, so I apologize if I'm really quickly going to mention it, but I also want to mention Intuitive Surgical, ISRG. Type the letters in there wrong. This is a stock popping here on earnings. Really great company. Might be candidate here for an options trade. You can see we've really kind of broken out of this downtrend here. We're back into this consolidation area. If this stock is strong, I really wouldn't be surprised if we trade up towards a 307 handle, maybe even a 310 handle. We'll see how strong Intuitive Surgical is today. And then we have some more earnings on deck later today. Shoot, I should have prepared. I'll go ahead and grab that earnings graphic, Zunaid, while I turn this over to you real quick.
All right, sounds good. So I decided to find different ways to dabble into crude oil. So this is crude oil. This is a June futures here. I went ahead and mistakenly played the CL just to see what type of movement it would have, and I lost a quick $50 on it. So we said, you know what, we'll go to the micros instead. So anyway, here's a chart that I have on the 30-minute. You can see you have, let me go ahead and turn this little puppy. You've got support around, or excuse me, you have resistance around 81.82. You can see when we had cracked that, it had held as support, then it came right back down. And then you've got support here at the 79.05 area. And the reason I went ahead and took this one short is because it is right at VWAP, right? So it tried to get a VWAP. I was playing around with it. I got it in a little bit late. So I'm just testing it out just to kind of get comfortable trading crude oil futures as well. So this is just a quick, small little trade just to see if I can go to make some money on it. But let's go ahead and check out the markets themselves. The pre-market lows, you've got about 411s. Let me go ahead and mark that. When I was going through the list when Ryan was talking, I didn't necessarily like anything myself that I wanted to take on the SPY or any of the other charts, to be honest. I'll have to find any other things that I can play in levels and things like that. But I do have a support level here at 316 on the Qs. So if 316 breaks and on that retest, I could be interested in going short. Let me go ahead and mute my alerts. There we go. Tesla, this one has had a little bit of a drop. Now that 180 finally did break. I believe there were also some price cuts on Tesla is what I saw on the FinTwit world. Let's keep an eye on. Let's see if we can go. I'm going to see if I can go short. Yes, I need to switch brokers. There we go. Thank you. See if we can go short and risk about $100 to make about $100 or so. on the Tesla trade. Which we're going to look to go short at about 179.81 and then see if we can cover around 179.20. You have my stop losses there as well. So it's a 1-to-1 trade for me. Let's go ahead and check out AMD. You can see you had support a couple of days ago on AMD in the session of 88.30s. Now, look, that's exactly where it is. I would not be surprised if when the market opens, we just kind of bounce right up from this. It's not the most confident play that I have, but I will be interesting. I will be interested to watch if it does kind of bounce up here, maybe hit VWAP and then come back down, give or take. That's how I kind of see it playing down. But let's see if that's the way that it actually goes. Did you have anything else you wanted to go over?
No, I really quickly just wanted to show this,
Please,
Zunaid. Yeah, this is basically the earnings coming up for this week. I'll go ahead and tweet this picture out every week. So if you want to get a copy of this, probably the easiest, most consistent place to find that is going to be my Twitter feed, Faloona, as mentioned, or is posted there in the little graphic. In any case, these are going to be some of the earnings reports for this week, probably the bigger ones today. Of course, the biggest one is going to be Tesla. What is Tesla going to report today? We're a little weak in the pre-market here, so it'll be interesting to see how Tesla trades today. Lam Research, IBM, Discover, these are probably going to be some of the other reports. So maybe we'll watch those stocks and see if they produce any type of tradable movement here today.
All right. Appreciate you.
That's all I got for you.
All right, sweet. Let me go ahead and turn it over to mine. We've got about less than a minute left to go in the market. So let's go ahead and take a look at Amazon. Currently trading at 101.51. I've got support here at 101s. You can see you had resistance, popped up, held support, holding on to somewhat of a support here on the pre-market side of things. Now, when it comes back down, I want to be interested in having it break, retest the 101s, and then I want to go ahead and go short on Amazon below 101 with, of course, a stop loss about 50 cents or so. Target for me, though, will be 100s, give or take. Let's go ahead and take a look at Google. Now, Google finally went ahead and cracked 104s. Let's see if it wants to come back and test it. I will look to go short 200 shares of Google, risk about $60 to make about $60. Actually, here, let's go short 100 so we can give ourselves a little bit of room and see if we can make $60 on that side of things. So there we go. Looking to go short Google as well. No current trades on at the moment. Still looking to see what the best way to move forward will be. Oh, on the was it the SPY or was it the futures? I think it was the futures. Yeah. So this is a 30-minute chart here on the E-minis, and you can see we've kind of broken that trend line. We'll wait to see if it wants to go ahead and test it. If it does, we can look to go short. But for now, overnight, unfortunately, so I couldn't even trade it. But overnight, we did go ahead and break that trend line, tried to go ahead and retest it to get back above it. We couldn't, so we went ahead and dropped for about 20 points or so. And here we are coming right back up. What did I say? I wanted to check AMD. Well, what do you know? Look at that. So that 88.30, that absolutely did go ahead and held just like we thought. So it came, tested it, and then whoop, right back up. So that was a sweet 60, 70 cent pop. Should have put money where my mouth is, but nonetheless, I'm glad the idea itself was working. Someone said eyes on Snap. I haven't used Snapchat for I think about a year and a half now. I'm not quite sure. But you've got a trend line here as well. Let me see if we can cleanly draw one. That's the trend line I've got on Snapchat. So if you're keeping an eye on it, see how that plays out for you. Let's see what we've got on Tesla. Tesla has not come back to test the 180s. We are going to set an alert here on AMD in case this one does want to break. However, if it does, another area that I'm going to look to go short is going to be here. I'm going to go short here for about 100 shares, and then I'm going to come back up at about 90 just in case it wants to go there and go short another 100 there as well on AMD. And look at that, man. What a move from that 88.30 support level.
Vine right out of the gate here, right up to its VWAP and stopped there. So we really want to wait for this to get over VWAP before we have a potential long side trade here. Also watching Lunar, as mentioned here from the beginning. First move here to the VWAP. Let's see if we pop above. Volume looks good here on Lunar. Kind of watching the level 2. Got VWAP here at 1312-ish. Looks like we're about to cross a 13 handle here on Lunar. Let's see what happens at the VWAP. No position in any of these yet. Just kind of watching the open shakeout here. Lunar at 13. They're taking stock there. Not showing a lot of size on the level 2, but it's there. That might be an iceberg order.
Let's see what else we got on Apple, by the way. Something to keep an eye on Apple is going to be the break of 164. We're about a buck or two away from that. However, keep an eye on this. So you've got a range in pre-market of about 165, 166, right? So this is a current range that we're trading in. If it does go ahead and break that 165, if you get the retest, cool. Keep an eye on it. It could be a nice little short, but the true level that I'm looking to break is this 164. You can see for multiple days, that's where we've kind of had a chance to go ahead and hang on as support. So if that's break, we can go to the downside. Ryan, what is an iceberg order?
Iceberg order is where there's a bunch of stock for sale, but it only shows that maybe there's a couple hundred shares. The size of the order itself is hidden. Think of it like an iceberg where you only see the tip, but the majority of the iceberg is invisible, effectively being underwater.
I like that. I like that. And of course, you can check the time in sales to see the true orders that are being executed at that price level. CXAI, what's up?
I was going to say VYNE. It is above its VWAP here. It's kind of holding. Looks like it's trying to take off, and now it's kind of reversing here. The other thing I wanted to cover is just because I was asked about it here real quick. Stay focused. Does Chevron Classic get a pop today? If I knew the future, stay focused, man, I would be incredibly wealthy, and I'd be on the golf course right now getting ready to tee off. But since I can't predict the future, the only thing I can do is react to it. What I need here in CVX is I basically need this. We're kind of in no man's land here, right? We popped up here. We traded down. Nice little floating island potential. Broke the top here. Came back in. We're still kind of hovering in this range. So what I really need here for CVX for like a swing long would be a breakout of this consolidation area. Still not even sure if it is going to break out. Could still break down. So I don't really have an angle on CVX, but what I would really want to see is have it get out of this range. Let me go back and check on Vine here. Looks like we're trying to push away from this VWAP now. 4 magnet in here on Vine. Let's see if we pop above. Lunar also at its VWAP right now, trying to get above it here. Might have 2 trades on here.
All right, on ticker CXAI, I did go to get filled with 100 shares at around $10.24. I'm going to look to buy another 100 around 10.03. Stop loss will be a break of about 974.
CJJG, nice VWAP bounce here. I missed that. Looks like Crow hit that one. My first target here on CJJG would be 144. If you took it from that VWAP bounce, that'd definitely be a place to lighten some of that, book some of those gains. Zunaid, here, I'm going to put your screen back up. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. We've got 200 shares at an average price of 10.14 here on ticker CXAI. Just go ahead and put my stop losses and everything in place. Okay, come on. What is happening? What? I just don't know what happened here. Sorry. A couple of trades have gone off, and I'm trying to make sure I don't get screwed on them. All right, cool. So there's our stop loss. Stop loss is going to be 976. Looking to take gains around 1051. I don't like that whole number, so I'm going to move it down just a little bit to 1047 here. It looks like I did also go ahead and get filled on Google. So there's a short on Google for 100 shares. I'm going to go ahead and keep an eye on this one as we are above VWAP, but I want to see this $104 fail as resistance. I don't want us to pop above it as it does for 4 cents right over there. We'll keep an eye on that trade. Looks like I've also got another one on Tesla that went ahead and got short here at 180s as well. So even if we lose money on these trades, I'm okay because we waited for the trade to come to us. We took the resistance points that should be there. We'll see if they actually do hold on or not. But those are the couple of trades that I have on. Every single trade that I do have at the moment is down by a few pennies. So here's a Tesla trade, 180 short. Here's a Google trade short at the 104s. And then, of course, you also have the CXAI trade here as well.
All right, looking at Goldman Sachs right now, Morgan Stanley starting to climb here. So looking at potentially a long here on Goldman Sachs here. It'd have to be off of the 332 level. So I'm trying to get into the 332.50s. Just got it right now. So that just dropped down. I could see the offer drop down there. Now I'm going to try to hold off of kind of like the 332 spot. Of course, the bid is a little bit wide here. So it's about 40 cents here. So I'm just going to watch it here to see if we can get back up above the 334. But taking a little bit of a shot here, Goldman Sachs, as I see Morgan Stanley going green here out the gates, even those red, all pre-market, green right out the gates. All right, what else is being mentioned in the chat? You got EMPH, Mara, of course, probably Bitcoin coming back up here, but just going to keep an eye on to see what happens to those Bitcoin stocks.
Yeah, you've got Google, by the way, coming down. So we went short at the 103.93s. Now it's 20 cents below. Keep an eye on it. Is it coming back to VWAP here? We'll see how it behaves there. But nonetheless, that one's coming down. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Tesla short. We went short at 180s. That one's, 179.81s. That one's down about 30 cents. Again, near VWAP. That's going to be a troublesome spot if it does find support there. But if it goes ahead and breaks VWAP, I like our chances to go ahead and test. I'm going to go ahead and move my take profit up here a little bit at 178.20s. And matter of fact, I don't need to wait all this. I'm going to go ahead and move my stop loss to about 181.17. I might adjust these as we go along as well. So there it is in VWAP. We're currently breaking VWAP to the downside. Let's see what's going on with Google. We're in the money by about 20 cents on that. And then, of course, I need to add CXAI to this little puppy here as that one is moving. I like this one, by the way. Who brought it up? I want to give them credit. I believe it was Quantum that went and got my attention with CXAI. Whenever y'all mention, tickers in the chat, we always check them. We may not be able to comment if it's, a little off looking, whatnot. Looks like my order did get filled on something, and that was on AMD. I believe on AMD. Cool. Now we're short on AMD as it's looking to test the previous close. So we are short quite a few things, and a lot of them are working out, but we want to make sure that we're able to cash out on quite a few of them. But anyway, on CXAI, the reason I liked it is because one, that $10 hold number, and it was near VWAP as well. So this is the reason I went ahead and took that trade. We'll see if it goes ahead and pops right back up for 40 cents more so we can go ahead and cash in on the 40-cent move. But that's what we've got going on. You've got 60 cents to the downside on Tesla at the moment.
And real quick, ISRG, we talked about a little bit here. I turned this yellow line here as a 9 EMA. Nice little gap and go setup here. We're actually coming back into that 9 EMA. So this would be an exit trigger if this candle closes below this low here. But ISRG having some strength after the earnings report. We'll see if that actually holds up here. Looks like it's kind of drying up. The other thing here is VYNE is going. And this was great too, because we actually back tested the VWAP and then pushed away here. So VYNE going here, and I believe that this was this someone in the chat said this was a cancer treatment. Is that the case? Because if so, this can really get going here.
I can't remember the last time I was in 5 different positions, but this is a life that we're living today. Yeah, I mean, I looked over and I was like, why is there? So I mean, I'm trying to organize it for y'all here, but it could get a little tricky.
VYNE first sell spot would be 450. It is probably going to encounter some resistance there. We're trading up only about 20 cents away here. Lunar still flirting with its VWAP right under it. CJJD, nice VWAP bounce here. Looks like it's coming back in towards the VWAP. So we'll see where this actually finds some support.
All right, Tesla is currently we went short, on Google at 103.93s. We are in the money by about 50 cents or so. Just looking for a little bit more. If we can get a little bit more, that would be great. Our Tesla short here is working out as well. Now, what's going to really irk me is if, matter of fact, I hate this 5U. We're just going to go singles. What's really going to irk me is we're in the green, obviously, on every single one of our trades, but we have not hit our profit targets. So that being said, trades like this, $4, I could care less. Boom, done, close. Google short, that one worked out well for us. Our Tesla short in the money by 60 cents. That one is still ways away from our profit target, so I'm not going to go ahead and touch that one, as now we go ahead and come down and break the 179s there. Let me see what else is up for us. AMD, that previous close, is acting as resistance. That's a good thing. I have not set my stop losses on that, so let me go ahead and do that. There it is. We're good to go on that trade. CXAI looking to make a little bit of a move to the upside as it does go from red to green again, but it needs to sustain it and make a move. And just looking at this one definitely can move. No question about it. I think it's gone to like the 16s and 20s before. Yeah. So this one can absolutely move. This is a small piece of the pie that I'm looking to get. Since I've never really traded it, I'm not familiar with it. So we're just here for the appetizers on it, if you will.
You're here for the appetizers.
I'm here for the triple dipper, man.
Can be really, really good.
The triple dipper, I think it is, at Applebee's. Love it. Love it. When I was in middle school, high school, dude, $20 for a date, count me in.
Count me in.
And if you were really broke like I was, CC's. $5.99, all you can eat.
The pizza
That's
buffet.
how you do it, baby.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I do? I do the chips and salsa on the Chili's bar where it's free.
Ooh,
and
yes.
I just pay for beer.
Red Lobster. I think the most shameless thing I've ever done in my life is go to Red Lobster and eat all the free bread
The free bread,
I've
baby.
never been more embarrassed of my actions in my life.
I've got one of those stories. I see your Red Lobster story and I raise you a Fazoli's story. So in college, super broke, go into a Fazoli's, order a large Coke, and just get all of them free breadsticks. All of the free breadsticks.
I will say we did take care of the server,
obviously.
though. We were like, hey, we know we're screwing Red Lobster, but like we won't screw you. So here you
go. That's it. You know? I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that action. Finally getting Goldman Sachs back above the VWAP. We'll see if this can make a move back towards 334. Going to look to see what happens with Wall. Wall kind of balanced out around 38. Will this come back to the VWAP 3850s? Keeping an eye on the regional banks. KRE bottomed around the 4280s. Will this come right back up through the VWAP 43? That's on my radar today. SPY overall right near the VWAP. Will we get a bounce back up through 412.75s? I'm actually looking for a little bit of some upside action. That's what my bets are on right now. But like always, you guys determine your own levels. We'll see if finally I can get this move in Goldman Sachs or it cracks right back down. Morgan Stanley moving higher, though. That's one thing that I wanted to look at today. And it did give me the pullback opportunity right there. I missed Morgan Stanley. Maybe should have gone for Morgan Stanley instead of Goldman Sachs. But I tried to go after one of them. Goldman Sachs was lagging. Morgan Stanley had just already was up there towards 87, 87. Now through the 88s, as you're shaking some of that red action there, I want to see if you shake the downturn in Wall. You got an hourly pullback level. Let's see if it comes back up through 39.
Real quick, Lunar, big time rejection. This is one of the reasons why we were waiting for these crosses and possibly even candle closes above some of these key levels. Lunar was really using the VWAP as resistance today, kept butting up against it when we talked about those iceberg orders at 13. Unable to clear it out. Now we're getting a knife back down towards the pre-market lows. We'll see if Lunar can set up again. Right now, let's let the purge happen, if you will.
Couple of trade updates. CXAI, that one did go ahead and look at that. So now we're moving, right? So here's CXAI. Here's the 1 minute chart. There's that big old volume stick. Appreciate, Gary, Becca, Jonathan, Walter, whoever else went ahead and pushed this up. I appreciate it. But no, we did go ahead and get our limit orders taken at around the 1047s it was. And obviously it went 50 cents higher. So I left a lot on the table, but we knew that, right? We told y'all, hey, look left. And you can see that this one can move quite a bit. Could have given me a 2-to-1 trade. Nonetheless, though, I am happy with this one. We are out. We locked in gains. We are good to go. Tesla wanted to come back and test the 180 level, and it comes right back down as well. So we're reading things right. What I am uncertain of is if the move is going to be enough for me to capture my gains, right? So here we got like $1 move, but I'm looking for like $1.50 move. So maybe that's on me to adjust my profit targets. But nonetheless, we're in the money on Tesla. What happened to Google? I thought it was that's right. Google, we went ahead and closed for a profit as well. And then AMD, we're still hanging out on AMD around this previous close. We'll see how that one behaves. That's not relative. It's slightly relatively strong compared to the market, but it's nothing that I'm like too worried about whatsoever. Tesla, though, you can see is relatively weak compared to the market. And for those of you that are new and don't know what I'm talking about, the SPY is down about 0.5%. Tesla is down about 2.5%. Therefore, it's relatively weak compared to the average, aka the SPY is what I'm talking about itself. And then let's go ahead and check in on our crude oil short as well. That's not that's right. It's a different account. That's why I was like, wait, where's my trade? There we go. There's my trade on crude oil. That one's working out. We're in the money by approximately 20 cents or so. Our profit target on that one is 79.07. What I need to do is look up when crude oil stops trading, because that could get dangerous for me. It looks like I did go ahead and get filled on something. I'm not quite sure what it was, but let's go back to AMD. I think that might have been yep, there it is. So there's AMD. Went ahead and got filled on another short. So that's 200 shares that I'm short now on AMD, because we wanted to get short at that $90 level. And then we're going to move up here as well. So we'll see what happens.
All right, looking for a slight pullback here in the KRE, but I think it could take 43s. So looking for a day trade there. Action on KRE here.
Come on, Tesla. Just give
it's already getting up towards the 43s. I'm taking a starter here on the KRE. I feel like we can get regional banks to start making our moves back. And I know that a lot of the times I said that I'd stay away from these regionals. I've gotten enough sense of confidence that I can start taking a shot on the ETF side of things. So KRE for me, I'm taking a little bit of a shot here at 43, willing to add towards 42.90s, 42.80s the risk right now. Let's see if this can really get going. Goldman Sachs starting to get in the green for me now starting to push higher. Saw Morgan Stanley going higher. Looking at financial services, I saw FAS looking as a possibility here. So let's see what happens here. If we can really start moving, KRE, taking my shot, 43.11s, 43.20s. I'll take some off there and then look to continue working the position up.
Folks, PTPI, this is one that we've traded recently here. This had a huge run yesterday after the kind of disappointing open, right? We were up in the pre-market, sold off like a stone. We did have a nice little run later and a move through the VWAP. Interestingly enough, we're getting some expanding volume down here. We've already moved through the VWAP. First level I have is 587, 620 marks yesterday's intraday high, excuse me. We'll see if we can actually pop above that. Then I have a high print here of 688 in the pre-market here today. So PTPI getting going here. Need this volume expansion to keep going.
All right, into the 334s. I'll take some profit in Goldman Sachs. Kicking it to you, Zunaid.
Well, yeah, now you've got the market kind of, I don't want to say moving up, but it's holding on, if you will. Can't quite seem to go ahead and break the 412 with urgency. Hasn't even quite tested it yet so far, but that's what I'm kind of waiting for is a break. If Tesla does go ahead and pop above the 180 level, not something I want to see, as I am short at 179.81. Not going to add to this trade at all. Going to go ahead and hang on tight and see how things play out. On AMD, similar story. As that one moves up, we are short 200 shares at 89.84 with a stop loss of 90.22. As that one's poking its hair above $90, and there it is. It could easily go ahead and spike and let me out, but main focus that I'm locked in on is AMD and Tesla as well. We've got about 30 seconds on this 5-minute candle. If it does go ahead and close above my levels of 180 on Tesla and on AMD above the 90s, I will go ahead and close these trades, but we shall see how things play out. We've got approximately 20 seconds left.
Jay,
all I gotta say is straight up, you guys know it. Boom shakalaka. Boom
shakalaka. Let's go. The sound drop is coming. I'll throw in some sounds there as well. Jay, you had FRC here. You were talking about this. We were saying how this is a little bit weaker here. You were on this as a potential long. Great stuff here, dude. Really bounced off 1280. 1318 is going to be your after hours high from yesterday. That is now in play here. Let's see if we can break above that. Might have a little bit of a run. Jay, what is I don't know if you gave this earlier. If you did, I apologize. What is the time horizon, and do you have any type of price targets for this trade? Great pickup. And you were saying lots of shorts in here. Oops, let me go back to that. Let's take a look at that here real quick, just to kind of close the book on that. Only 2% of the float shorted, but that's as of March 25th. That's likely to have grown there. And even with that small percent of float shorted, still 3 days to cover here. So I would agree. I would say probably more people loaded in here on the short side. 318 rejection here. We'll see if we can take that out. That's yesterday's after hours session high. FRC.
All right, looking for a move to 430.50s on the KRE. I have a pattern that it's going to go towards the trend line there, and that's where it gets interesting. Do we turn around from that, or do we get to the 43.50s? That's the next profit take for me on KRE. I got 43.20s. Now I'm going to look for 43.50s. Let's see if this can keep riding. Took some out on Goldman Sachs on that move above 334. Going to take it all out through 335. I'm looking around 335.30s, 20s, somewhere around there. Going to take it all out, take it. It's going to be a good trade here on Goldman Sachs to start the day. I got other trades going into green. It's a good day. It's a battle type of day. Eyes open. Let's stay in the zone and keep battling. You guys out there, make your investment decisions like always and keep building on those decision-making skills. Let's go. Let's get after it.
You've got AMD now having a tough time. So this is what I like to see is where AMD, and I appreciate you guys want to help out there. AMD, I like the fact that my levels are correct in the sense of like, hey, yes, there is resistance here. What I am not doing a great job of possibly is locking in some gains. So we are short at 89.84. We've got gains that we want to take half size at 89.56. We're currently about 20 cents away from that. We were 10 cents away, but it starts to creep right back up. Here's Tesla once again, rejecting that 180 area, peaked above by 50 cents and coming right back down. So this has been kind of a back and forth trade for me. If we go ahead and go to the minute chart to have a pretty drawing there. Is looking to break that very, 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 very short-term trend line. Just want to have to come down. 178.20s is where I'm looking to lock in some gains on TSLA to the downside.
I see CMND being mentioned in the chat here. CMND, first move here was down. Nice little bounce off the 62 level. Back up to the VWAP. Still kind of flirting with that VWAP. Really need to see an expansion and a push away here. This is just kind of a penny stock here. But remember, we actually had a pretty big range carved out up to 118 here on CMND. Charlie Michael, November Delta.
Let's ring the register one more time because we do go ahead and lock in some gains on AMD. Oh, that was awesome. I need to get me one of those. AMD, we were short 200 shares, 100 of them just covered at that 89.50 level. Now we want to go ahead and see if we can go ahead and get approximately 89.06s, waiting for this to recover its life. There we go. Maybe not a stop loss when you're looking to take profit. There we go. That one's good to go. And stop loss for me is still going to go ahead and be approximately 90.23. So we're good. We're looking pretty. Now we want this 89.50 to go ahead and break. And then on Tesla, once again, we're 70 cents in the money on that trade. But we did go ahead and have a successful trade on our crude oil. So if we go back to the crude oils, we went ahead and went short. Let me go ahead and pull up my VWAP here. Let's go ahead and get some executions to show up as well. Apply to all. We had gone short just one contract, right? It's our first day trading this because we had this VWAP right there, and I'll get you in a second. But then we went ahead and short at the 46s. We covered at the 09s or 07s. What you got, Mitch?
Just took a little bit more there on KRE. That's what it is. It's that type of day, baby. Let's keep it going. Taking some profit here in the KREs into the 40s, 43.46. Original entry 42.99, and now just holding a fourth of the position for continuation. Goldman Sachs will look for a push into 335 and take the rest of it out here as it gets into the 335.30 area. I'll take the rest of it and run, baby. Got to take your money and run in this market. Morgan Stanley going higher. We'll look to see if these regionals and the financials can really get going here. It's the leading sector on the day. So what did I talk about in pre-market? I talked about financial services. That's what I'd be watching. This is what? Trade the plan the trade. Let's go. Let's get after it. Now let's time for execution. Let's see if this resistance holds here at 43.50. You can see we turned around right off 43.51. I'm going to look to see if this can get through the daily pattern. And there's a lot of highs in this area. So this is an important level to look for. Can we get through the 43.60s? I'll watch to see if we make a move to 44.
Got a piece of news here. ENSC. This is a stock that we've traded here before. Enscience CEO Dr. Lynn Kirkpatrick to present a featured case study of MPAR overdose protection platform accelerated development. Excuse me. Looks like this here, and in Benzinga Pro we have a little bit more of an explanation here. I'll go into this here in a sec. We take a look at this. This popped ENSC here today. We are actually halted once and resume. We're kind of at the VWAP here. Let's see if this pushes away. Fresh piece of news driving ENSC here today.
Love it, guys. And just to kind of mention a healthcare name that's doing really well for me, a swing trade, DXCM, really taking off now towards the 121. This is looking good on the daily outlook for me for diagnostics and research stocks. So feeling good about the pullback that I'm getting in DHR today, even though DXCM really kind of giving a nice little push up to the upside today. Let's keep it going, team. Let's see what else we can get into.
Well, you talked about having a plan to trade and then trading that plan as well. I plan to drink water, but I left it in the kitchen, so I'll be right back.
No!
Well, at least he's solving that problem, right? That seems like a solvable issue. Simply just left it in the kitchen.
All right, so we got a little pullback from that KRE. Now I'm going to look for it to take out that 43.50. We take out that 43.50. I think I get my top shares filled there for Goldman Sachs. It could go even higher with the pop. So I'm going to kind of keep watch here what happens with that Goldman Sachs order, if it can kind of a little push higher. That's what I'll be looking for. KRE, I'm just trying to let it work, really. I wouldn't let it go through my entry, the 43s, but if it can go through 43.50s, 43.60s, I think we might be able to make it to 44. So that's what I'm looking for top shares to get out of on KRE today. We'll find out if I can get that move or not. WAL was one indicator to look at, right? You can see the bottoming action off the 38s. Really hard bottom action now. Let's see if it gets back to 39 and actually gets moving.
Guys.
Real quick here, PRST moving here, right? We have a level identified from the previous time that we traded this 264. We're going right to that level. It's worth noting. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing yet again. I'm sorry about that. Maybe a little too much coffee here this morning. Anyway, 309 was as high as we were in the after hour session. PRST, that's Presto Automation, moving through this 264 line.
So you guys know how I like to drink hot water
with lemon.
Yeah. So this morning, what I like to do is I like to wake up, brush my teeth, then I go ahead and start my hot water lemon, boiling the water. Then I go, do other things to get ready for the day. So I did go ahead and start boiling the water. I totally forgot about it till I went to the kitchen to just grab my regular water bottle, and I come back to the
empty
water
pot.
just being fully
empty
gone.
pot, baby.
Empty
Trying
pot.
to start the fires out there, Zunaid.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Dude, I go up there and I'm like, why is my stove on? And I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, the water that I was boiling that all ran out.
Pro tip, Zunaid? You want a pro tip?
Shit. Put a timer.
Well, timer, you know what? Timer's actually not bad, but here's something else. What about investing in an electric kettle where you could make that hot water in the desk, reduce the fire hazard? They're only $20 on Amazon.
There you go.
I think the dumbest thing I did, I like that. I'll have to look that up. I think the dumbest thing I did is I also touched the bottom of this to see how hot it is. Yeah, it's still hot. I'm going to go ahead and take care of this. I'll be back.
It's a bit warm. Confirmed.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on out there. KRE pulling back here. Is the SPY going to pull back here, or is it going to go and take off through the 412.75? I think that's going to be important outlook here for the Qs overall. We're bouncing off 316.50s, but we need to recover VWAP and 317 for technology to make that up move. So keeping an eye on that. SPY right now, of course, being led by financial services, utilities up. And I see what else is having a decent day. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm looking to see if technology can start making its way from the bottom and start coming back. But definitely some stocks are getting hit in technology today. So just keep an eye out on that. Google's still in the red. NVIDIA is pulling back a little bit. That's not in the red. Meta's in the green. I see Apple just slightly up. Will these kind of hold the stocks higher today? Keep an eye out on that. Going back, Goldman Sachs is pulling back to the VWAP, kicking it to you, Ryan.
Yep, I was just going to say, speaking of technology, we had Netflix, right? Probably the biggest earnings report of the day yesterday. Netflix immediate reaction was a big-time sell-off. We actually closed the gap, went green briefly in short order. Now today, we're drifting a little bit lower. But the thing that I actually wanted to mention here is I know that people like to play earnings plays using options, right? You can define your risk ahead of time. You're effectively taking a binary event, a little bit of gambling. People will go back and forth on that. But the key here is that the winners for Netflix were the people that sold premium yesterday. Whether it was calls or puts, the people that sold it, those are the people that won, because you got a big move here. You had increased implied volatility with the binary event coming up, and there really isn't a whole lot of movement here. One thing that I found really, really interesting, and again, I was informed by one of the gentlemen in the happy hour yesterday. He's a subscriber of Nick Shaheen's service. Nick Shaheen is, of course, a professional options trader that does education and services with us. And one of the things that Nick said yesterday is that if you want to play the Netflix earnings with options, one of the things that you can do is actually buy SPY or QQQ contracts, because you can actually trade those in the after hours for the first 15 minutes. And so what happened is he actually took puts. When Netflix came out, it sank a lot of those. Those puts went up by like 30-something%, and he was able to close them. Because he chose the SPY or the QQQ puts, he was able to close those in the after hour session. He didn't have to wait until the next day. Had you have taken just straight Netflix, you probably would be taking a haircut on those contracts. So interesting strategy there. Not one I thought of ahead of time. A little bit disappointed. Unsurprised to see a pro like Nick Shaheen do it. This member made a really, really quick 30-some% off this earnings report yesterday. So pretty cool trick there. Truck is real. You got it, Paul. You got it.
I mean, the only question with that is how viable is that strategy? Yeah, that's the hard part, I think.
But Mitch, I agree with you. You're spot on, because you have to be nimble. It's not easy. But here's the thing.
It's not easy.
if you're playing options for an earnings print anyway, how much strategy is there actually in that, right? We're talking about this particular type of
100%.
trade. In this case, this was just one more, I guess, call it degree of freedom that allowed the trader to close the position instead of having to wait for the next day. I agree with you. You know, to me, playing earnings prints, not the biggest thing. If you have a really strong feeling, define your risk and go ahead and play it, be my guest, but not necessarily a consistent, repeatable strategy unless you have some type of information. So it's a good point, and it's worth mentioning.
I'm stepping up to the plate here, team. I'm stepping up. Of course, you guys choose your own investment decisions, but I have a little piece of sound. We're coming back through 3. I'm taking a shot here. I'm adding to my position. So let's see if this can really start getting going here. Just added at that 3 spot. Let's see if we can really start moving in sound AI. Going to look for a move above 315s, 320s. That's the first move. And then I'll look for the 350s, $4 for upside, like full target. If I can get to 4, I don't mind taking that out. We'll see what happens on sound today. And just to kind of mention, I also got 8 positions going on, Zunaid, and all in the green, baby. It's a green day. Smash it up, team. Let's keep battling.
Mitch is going for more steak this week, it looks like.
Oh, I got to make up for next week's steak. I'm not going to be here.
Whoa. Well, you'll be having a great old time.
I'll be ready for Chops Grill on the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. Let's go. Give me that filet mignon.
Well, it's no filet mignon, but I have learned how to cook burgers in an air fryer. So, you know, adult me is very happy.
Burgers in an air fryer.
Oh,
bro, I'm telling you, it is good.
I'm with Zunaid on this one. It's good. Don't knock it.
It is good.
Oh, man, I got to figure this one out. I haven't done that one yet. I'm a big burger kind of guy, so.
I don't know if anyone in the chat has ever used the Aura Ring. If you have, type 1 just so I know how many people are out there. But I just got mine yesterday, and I'm looking to be a new man from here on out.
Is that the sleep tracker thing?
The sleep tracker with the steps and all of that.
Oh,
look,
no one. Show us that right quick.
No one wanted to put a ring on me, so I was like, I'm 30-something.
I'll put a ring on myself.
You know what I mean?
Zunaid, I'm going to stay out of your putting a ring on it business, but what I am interested in is how does that thing work? I actually looked at that. How good is the step counter? Would be my first.
So let's see, right? I just got it yesterday, so I set it up. Today's my first day. So what I'll do is, as we go along the show, I will check how many steps the ring says I have and how many steps the Fitbit says I have, and that way we can accurately.
Nice.
The battle's on. I like it.
By the way, VYNE, which we discussed earlier, moving to the top side of the range, might break out here and attack that 451. VYNE, good volume pop here, stalking this.
All right.
430 would be an entry if we break above it. A little bit of size at 422.
There we go, team. We'll see what happens. Apple Watch, baby. NVIDIA taking off. I started to see the SPY move higher. Can we take the 412.75s on a 15-minute or 5-minute basis? We went up there, but we didn't close up there. So let's see if we get back up there on a 5-minute basis. Watching the KRE, watching Goldman Sachs. Gilead is one that I have. DXEM straight up out the gate. So that's looking good for me. Sound went up above 3, now pulling back. I don't want to see it cut VWAP now. That's 295. Let's see it get back and hold 3. I'll see what happens on that one if it can really get moving. That's an AI name. And AAL also kind of getting back into the green today. I'll keep watch. That's a longer term swing for me on American Airlines.
Someone wants us to check out PayPal. Let's check out PayPal. Man, I wish you asked 6 minutes earlier because I have this $75 as a point of support. So you can see we did go ahead and crack that. We come back to test it, and now we're headed to the downside. So the closer you get a short to 75, the better, in my opinion. Now, I do have some lines drawn at 73.50. You can see that's where we found support for the past not 3 days, but in the past for 3 consecutive days. So that's an area to keep an eye on. If you're trying to play the bounce, I say closer to 73.50s. If you're trying to play the short, the closer to 75. But that trade idea has already kind of started working, and you're 70 cents in the money if you did go ahead and take that to the downside. By the way, real quick, I am also now short once again, the MCL, which is a crude futures, it is the micro. And that's because we go ahead and take a look at this, right? This is a range that we talked about. We were between, let me go ahead and clean it up a little bit so you guys can check it out. We talked about the top side being 81, 82, the downside being 79. We did go ahead and break to the downside. Now on this retest, I'm going short. It's as simple as that. That's the reason I took it. I did take it on the 15-minute. So if in the 15-minute candle, if this closes above my area of 79s, I will go ahead and close the trade. But for now, I'm locked in for 2 micro contracts on the crude oil.
Still watching VYNE here, waiting for this to come back into VWAP. I got VWAP at 407, currently at 414. We'll see if we get a bounce here at VWAP on Vine. VYNE.
All right, we'll see what else is going on out there, team. You guys let us know if you guys see some stocks moving. We'll keep trying to call them out for you guys. And like always, let's see if we can continue the rise on the day. We're like hanging out right on the VWAP here on the SPY. We haven't really made a move to the downside today. Now, we'll keep that in mind, right? We've been kind of just straight to the upside in the SPY overall. And even anything below the VWAP right now has just been slightly below VWAP, not like a move to like, let's say 411.80s. Got to keep that in mind because we could see that happen, right? One stock that's going to be a good indicator for me is going to be WAL. I talked about how it's tried to bottom around 38s. Does that go back to 37.22 or towards 39? If that gets back into the green and does kind of a red to green move, that's this bottom left chart. I'll make it big so you guys can see it. If that goes red to green, I feel like we're going to get KRE to continue going. We'll see what happens in Western Alliance.
Well, it's about to happen. It's about to get stopped out of my Tesla short. So we're short at 179.92 with 100 shares. Stop loss is $180.70, but we are close to getting that one stopped out. Let's see what happens on that. Now, let's see. PRST. That one's moving to the upside.
I'll tell you right now, there's some good news with PRST, right? Not only is it moving to the upside, but guess what, team? We got Zunaid that will be interviewing the chairman coming up. PRST will be with us at 11, team. So stick around. Unknown. You're looking at PRST? Well, guess what? You'll be hearing from the company in just a few minutes, about an hour at 11. We'll be bringing them on. So stick around, team.
Yep.
A lot for you guys today.
Yeah, so of course, with that being said, we won't go ahead and trade this one, but I appreciate you letting the folks know at home. So, keep an eye on it, see what you think is best on this one. Keep, take a look left. I always hesitate to talk about these things, even in terms of charting, but $3 could end up being a resistance area. Unfortunately, with us doing the interview, we won't talk on it too much, but best of luck with your trading on that. I'm going to lock back in with Tesla here as well. You're about 17 cents away now from getting stopped out. Look how close we were. So that could easily go ahead and take us out. And I don't mean to dinner, unfortunately, but it'll be fine. I think Tapa said that they were late on every single trade today. That's okay. It's better for you to be late on your trading than for a significant other to be late on somewhere else. If you know, you know.
And it also, oh my goodness, how do you follow that up? And also, it's showing good discipline on Tapas's part there. Don't try to force it. Real quick, Smoke Tuna said Zunaid calls sound like esports commentary. You can't take the esports player out of Zunaid. We already know that. Folks.
No, you cannot. Man.
And real quick here, awesome spot here by Paul. Paul C saying Hess, head and shoulders top, Ryan. Well, I can't tell you if it's the top, but here are the head and shoulders. I marked it here with this little blue squiggly line. Definitely looks like a head and shoulders here. Maybe we get the next move down here towards 120, possible swing there on Hess. This is in the oil business. Paul, great eyes there on the head and shoulders.
Yeah, when I talk about oil, I've said it, right? I mean, what we need to be watching also is the price overall. We're back in the 70s and in strong decline today coming in oil. So, of course, that could put the price right back down. Did OPEC just push it higher, but couldn't even get it into the 90s? That's what I was watching, where we're going to go to the 90s or we're going to go right back into the 70s. The big thing for me now is above 80s or below 60s. That determines really what happens here. Above 80s, yeah, oil stocks can go higher and keep pushing higher. I think below 60s, you'll see these just come to a screeching, like kind of down move, right? Like a big break. So I'm going to keep watch on these. You guys know I've taken some shorts. I've taken some longs on oil. So we'll keep watch to see what happens. You guys can keep up with more of that action on Start Swing Trading. I'll definitely go over the sector and some of the industry.
Hawaii, I appreciate that. And like I said, having a ring put on you, you're just like a new man. That's what it is. It's not me. It's the ring that gives me the powers of better sleep and better jokes.
One
But
ring to rule them all, baby. One ring to rule them all. Zunaid's aura is what it is.
Precious.
You've got, if you expect the market to kind of move to the upside, keep an eye, if you'd like, on Netflix as well, especially if it can go ahead and close and stay above this $325 area. That can be a nice little mover to at least test maybe the previous close or the 330 mark itself. But Tesla, I did go ahead and get stopped out on, so that's going to be an L for me. And then on the crude oil trade, let me go and put me up on the crude oil trade. That one also did go ahead and stop me out, but I have set an alert. So once it comes right back down, I will go ahead and get into that trade again. But if it wants to be range bound, I won't go ahead and play the chop. I'll wait for a breakdown once again on that. Uber over VWAP. I think Uber had some nice calls last week. I can't remember what they were.
Yeah, I think it did, Zunaid. I remember seeing that too.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they were though, but you've got obviously a range of about, what is this? 20 cents, give or take, for the past almost 45 minutes in that stock. So it's kind of clear. If you're looking to play the upside, break of 3150s, you can maybe go ahead and test the 3172s, which is close to the previous close. Let's check out the SPY. That one did move higher, but now it's coming back slightly. But you do have 413s up there. Yeah, I don't really have a game plan to go ahead and trade this. You did have the support held at 413, so maybe that could be a resistance area today where it was support yesterday. Not quite sure. Not going to go ahead and play it. But look at that, though. Chop City, just on the SPY, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It goes. I currently have no positions on, so we are just kind of hanging tight. Drugs shooting up. Well, that's a nice way to put it. Up.
No, I still got everything. I'm just watching things work here. KRE is still looking like it wants to work. Goldman Sachs hasn't broken the VWAP, so I'm below VWAP, so I can let things work here. We'll see what happens. Tesla moving higher now. That is kind of maybe like a run into earnings. I don't expect the best earnings, but it is getting a little bit of a push here. SPY looks like it wants 413s. We'll see if it actually gets into the 413s, closes above on the next 5-minute candle. You got about 1 minute left there. So keep a look on that. I'll look to see if it closes above 413. KRE, do we get to 4350s, 4360s? We've taken some profits up there. Going to look to see if we make that run.
All right, let's see what the step count looks like. Let's see if we can get an accurate reading for Ryan.
All right, KRE starting to push. Let's see if the SPY can close at 413s. Tesla pushing higher. I'll look for Goldman Sachs to get through the 335, really start pushing. Another thing that I'm looking at is WAL. Does it make a move to 39? That will give me more conviction that the financials can go higher. FAS has come to the VWAP multiple times, now wants to go higher. So that's another way that you can be playing this on more of the day trade outlook. And of course, we talked about Morgan Stanley. It had kind of red earnings. Look how it's right back to where it reported its earnings. That shows me a lot of what? Climbing the wall of worry, team. We'll see what happens. And yes, Zoltan, we will be having, of course, PRST joining us at 11. Stick around, team.
All right, on the step count, the ring says I have approximately 1,300. My Fitbit says I have approximately 1,397. So it's about a 97 step discrepancy, which, let's see if we put that in percentages.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which is off by about 6% so far.
So give us a, if you remember, take a reading later in the day and see if that margin contracts or expands.
Done. Says I will update y'all tomorrow.
Boom, boom. That's what it's all about, team. You see, we give it to you all right here. Benzinga, you know what it's all about. Not financial advice, educational, and you even hear about the new products in the health space.
I'm probably overly excited for this because in the grand scheme of things, it's really not important. But I've been thinking about that Oura Ring because I actually had the Samsung watch and that broke. It just died, battery died or whatever. And I don't know if I want something a little bit smaller to track steps because sometimes I forget my phone in another room. And my phone, then I miss out on thousands and thousands of steps. I look at my phone, and it says I've only walked 6,000 steps. I'm like, nah, that can't be right.
Yeah. Whenever I've had my phone and my Fitbit, it is always off. The phone is always off.
It's lower, right? Considerably.
Yeah. Always lower for sure. But Yeah, definitely would puts puts on Z's ring, calls on the Fitbit, or the other way, right? Why can't it be that the Fitbit is inaccurate? But if it's going to tell me I've taken more steps and give me a higher self-esteem, I will go ahead and take that. By the way, you do have the market trying to go ahead and make higher highs, but you've got Tesla here. So if you're looking to go long Tesla, not a bad spot as you're now looking to test the 180, which is close to that 179. 60 area, which is also where VWAP is. So this could be a decent place for you to go long if you'd like, but the Tesla's still down 2.5%. So I'm not personally going to go long there. I'm just calling it out. But if it does go to break VWAP, I would be interested in the short. What's up, Mitch?
Out sound, stopped out on sound. It just pulled back to that 290. I'm not going to stick around here if it turns around. So I'm out of that sound AI.
Real quick, Vine, while we were waiting for this to come to the VWAP, actually broke beneath VWAP here a little bit. There's a bigger size order brought in at 410. Wouldn't be opposed to trying that if it can take 410. Never mind, now it's knifing. We want to wait for this to set up here. The move through the VWAP didn't really show any type of support. There was a big seller that came in. My initial thought was if that seller gets taken, maybe this does reverse here from the VWAP. We did not get that, and now we're getting a breakdown here. I'll wait for this to set up again. Bummer. Wanted to try Vine here for a late day move.
You've got ticker CXAI. We made money on this earlier. We're coming back to it just to see what's going on, and it's still it came back to almost test $10 again. But you've got to kind of see that on the 15-minute, you've got higher highs being made on ticker CXAI. So keep an eye on this one throughout the day. It could go ahead and pop, especially if we get above 11. So maybe set an alert there if you'd like to go ahead and trade this one to the upside like I'm doing myself on Tesla. Well, look at that. What do you know? You got yourself a bounce. We talked about this one bouncing from VWAP for a solid long trade if you liked it. Now it's 50 cents higher. You obviously have a session high of about 181s in that one. Let's see if there's anything else that I want to kind of pay attention to. Nothing really happening. So yeah, crude oil, I'm going to wait to come back. I could do a VWAP rejection trade here at the 50s and have a stop loss of 80s or so, but I'm just going to kind of sit tight for the downside.
Real quick, definitely want to cover this. Ryan, good to see you here this morning, my man. And Vine popping here. Okay, so I'm going to cover two things here real quick. First of all, Lockheed Martin. This is actually one that's been on my radar recently because one of the gentlemen in the happy hour has been trading this long term in his account back and forth. Actually just took gains on this breakout here. He had been in prior to this move up in October of last year, really kind of traded sideways. Then once it broke this 500, he actually took his gains yesterday. I like this here. And I think that if we can really kind of hold this area here, we might actually have the same type of action on a floating island. If we can hold the bottom of this candle, which I have here as, let me click off of this, get you the exact bottom. Bottom of this candle is 498 on the nose. So as long as this can hold 498 for a day or two, maybe we get a little bit of consolidation and a move back up towards the top of the range puts you at 508. A break of 508 could probably close that trade if you end up swinging it. And what a bummer on Vine. What a bummer on Vine, because this is one of the things that we were looking for here, or one of the things that I was looking for here is a move off of the VWAP. Well, I got spooked because of the pull through the VWAP that immediately turned into buying volume. You got this nice hammer candle. I understand it's a 1 minute chart, but it was through the VWAP here. This is the expanding volume that we were looking for. Vine pushing away at this point, buying it here as a chase. We'll see if it can goes up to this 451. Sure seems like it. If it pops above 435 here, which is where it's going for, I think 451 is next here on Vine. So like Tapas was saying earlier, I'm just a little bit late on this. I was setting up my comment on LMT and I was spooked from the pull. That's just how it goes. Can't get mad about that. Would rather keep myself safe and get myself into a trade that I feel confident about.
Well, let's go. Let's see if it can keep moving. I'm looking for it to keep pushing higher. KRE now to 43.56, 43.60 is so important on the daily to get through. You can see the daily resistance right above there. So let's see if we can blow through the 63s, make our way to 44. That's the next stop for me for KRE. And I talked about wall above 38, going to 39. This is where I think we could start seeing this move happen. So I could take the shot off 38s, maybe 37.75, reversal back up through 39. But I feel like that would be triple dipping in financials. So I'm going to stay on the sideline, even though I like the way this one's trading. And it's going to give me a lot of signals, like below towards 37. I think this comes back. But if this can keep moving higher, yeah, I think you'll see the recovery. Look at FAS, how that's been pushing nice. JPM's been above VWAP. Even Bank of America, let's see if this can start getting back towards the 30. This one got weak in the pre-market, but yesterday recovered pretty well from right around the same levels, right? You can see the 2980s acting as support right now. So let's see if that gets back up through the 30s. Let's go to the SPY. SPY has been trying to get to the 413s. 5 minutes have closed now above 412.75. And we're seeing what? Higher lows, higher lows. Let's see if this trend can continue and it goes towards like 413.50s. A move back towards 412.50s. That's where it gets a little bit concerning that we could see some leaking coming in.
Ryan saying here, I distracted you, Ryan. It's the uniform. It happens. Hey, man, what can I say? Those uniforms look all spiffy. The only question is, do you consider your M17 part of your uniform? Maybe you're a 1911 guy. I don't know. I'll let you tell me that. But it's okay. Remember, it's okay. We're going to trade setups that we're ready for. We're not going to force things. We're not going to chase things. It's all about discipline and risk management first. Profits will come on the back half of that. I'm not upset about missing this. Hell, Vine could come back to VWAP and set up for another late day break to that 451 and maybe even a break above. So just going to keep it on the watch list. And here we go. Vine trading up here again. Let's see if it makes a move to that 451.
All right. Trying to get to the 335s here and take the profit and run on Goldman Sachs here as we're looking to push above here. It hit 335 right on the dot to 335.04. I'm looking for a little bit more push here and then going to sell out here in Goldman Sachs. See if I can get it back into that 335 spot. Don't want to see it retrace off of that level. We're pretty close here. Let's see if I get that last little push. Take the money and run and look for KRE to keep pushing. But at the same time, I want to take some profits, right? So Goldman Sachs would be kind of more the quicker profits, and I can let KRE kind of work a little bit more. See what happens here. Can I get the last little push? 85's on the offer. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get it up there through that 35. Now pulling back fast. So you got to be careful here. I might just have to take the money and run. But trying to be patient, right? I've been patient because it's been holding VWAP. Look at KRE. We made a little move to 60s. Hasn't taken that expansion move. SPY overall starting to pull back here to the VWAP, but holding the trend right now. Don't want to see a lower low. Lower low is through 412.70s. We're about to hit that. Let's see what happens.
We also have ASNS here. So I just noticed this is popping here. This actually did a 1 for 10 reverse split from about 30 cents. So it put it right at about $3. We actually went another, $2.50 here, coming back in a little bit. ASNS, no position here. Just noticed it, wanted to figure out what's going on. I see it's halted quite a bit here. We will see. We'll see if this ends up gearing here. Otherwise, scanner kind of dried up here. Luna really disappointing. Really couldn't get above its VWAP. I'm going to keep this on watch here today because we've seen some of these that stay under its VWAP in the morning and lunch hour, and then in the afternoon get a bit of a pop and start going. So I'm going to keep Lunar on watch here, but kind of a disappointing morning here out of the open. BIOL, huge move here. This I wasn't on this with this being a penny stock. I know Crow, it seems like you caught this one. Nice little move here on BIOL. We're beneath the VWAP, but let's see if we get back to the VWAP. This is for all you penny players out there. And again, still looking like the scanner's a little bit dry. Can't really consider Bed Bath & Beyond exciting. We'll see.
Hands on the trigger to get out of Goldman Sachs. It's a lot based on the SPY pulling back a little bit here. So I also don't see that WAL making the push towards 38s and 39. So keeping an eye on that, because if it goes to 37.22s, you could see a pullback in the financials. So keeping a close eye here. Going to still let KRE work because it's at the top of the range. But Goldman Sachs is kind of like in the middle right now, determining if it's going to take that next step up higher through 335. A lot of that is the SPY pulling back here. We'll see what happens.
Ryan, what's interesting is with this ring, I can see my beats per minute, which you guys can in the chat, but it's uptrending when I start trading at 9:30. So
yeah,
like,
of course.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I used to have a rule.
That makes sense.
I used to have a rule, Zunaid. I used to actually trade with a heart monitor. Yeah. I used to have a rule that if I got over like a certain beats per minute, it was like 165. Like if I'm running and I'm sitting, I shouldn't be trading. You get what I mean? And I think that certain things that you can use like that to kind of notice your emotional levels, right?
I was going to say, Mitch,
that tell you.
That's a reading that you're too emotionally involved at that point, right? And that's kind of what that's interesting. I've never done that. Maybe if I pick up an Aura ring, I'll go ahead and do that.
It's something interesting to think about, right? I've thought about just pretty much everything you can think of in trading, but
is it comfortable? I'm not a ring guy.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's not even,
ring,
it
baby.
is.
And you look like an average sized human. I'm kind of a bigger dude. Do you think I'd be able to fit it on my finger? Is it adjustable or anything?
Yeah. So here's the way that it works, right? Is you order the kit. So once you place the order, they send you a kit unless you know your ring size. They mail you a kit, and in the kit, it has 13 rings. You go ahead and just test out whichever one works for you. They're plastic rings. And then I said, cool, my ring size is 9 for those of you that want to send me something. And then you just, and then
soliciting the users to put a ring on it, literally.
and then you just go online and say, hey, I'm a size 9. And then they just go ahead and mail you the actual ring.
One. Okay, cool.
Yep. I also heard that Zunaid, he loves gold rings.
Yeah, I like black, but I'll take gold for my chains though. So whenever I do shows and stuff, I wear gold.
I hear you.
So yeah, whatever works.
All right, we'll see what happens here in the SPY. We got a little bit of a curl there around the 412.60s here. Do we take the next step up through 413s? That's what I'm looking at, and keeping an eye on that WAL. I've talked about it all day. It's stuck in that pattern right here. Does it make the move up here into this space? We'll find out. WAL, Western Alliance Corporation, just been hanging around that 38. I think there's definitely buying going on there, but the only question is, will it get that rise to 39? We'll find out.
Yeah, now I'm interested to see what my heart rate is at the moment. And I'm a big visual guy, a visual learner. So I love, that's the reason I got a Fitbit way back when, and why I got this Aura ring, because I need to see how I can improve certain things. But
I like data like that. I like data like that. I do a lot of walking / running depending on how I'm feeling, and I use the Samsung Health app to track all of that, monitor where I'm going, track my speed, and all of that stuff. I like that information too. That makes it more interesting to me.
I'm in 3 contracts on the micro E-minis on the future side of things. I'm in at 41.65. Here's what I got to work on. I am so impatient that I just want to get in a trade. I don't wait for the best entries. Like for example, here I got in, and you can see it, right? This is a real money trade at 41.65. I knew before it even happened that, hey, I should probably wait to get filled at 41.63s or so, aka a little bit near VWAP. I would have been ahead by 3 points in the money than being at break even where I am currently at. So that's definitely something that I need to work on and be more patient and realize that, hey, either you get a better entry or you lose out on the trade. It's perfectly fine if you do, because obviously there's a trade every single day, every single hour that you can find with the right tools. But nonetheless, 3 contracts on the micro E-mini side of things. 41.65 is the entry. 41.69 is the take profit, and 41.59.50 is the stop loss.
I think that's very important to notice, right? I think that's things to think about, right? And I talk about it all of the time, and that's why I look for pullbacks all the time. You guys see me sometimes the stock will pop, and I'll just be like, well, I need it to come back to a certain level before I get in it. And I think you always got to determine what type of trader are you? Are you a breakout trader? Or are you a pullback type of trader, right? Do you buy pullbacks after breakouts, or do you buy the breakout itself? Some people do half and half, right? It's always up to you to determine how you're going to go about this. There's no 100% way. That's the truth. But the one thing that I would definitely say is that, yeah, when you're feeling like you're stuck in the middle, what I mean by in the middle, where you're seeing the price action go, you get slightly green and then you get slightly red. And then it just seems like you're just stuck in the middle, like unrealized zero. A lot of times with those types of positions, at least for myself, what I look to do is I think about them like ticking time bombs. I want to be in those positions for a certain amount of time, but if it doesn't go and I'm just not making any money, it's time value kicking in at that point. And I want to maybe just cut the trade for a zero trade since it's not going, right? So it's always up to you to determine when that is. Some people like to just stick to their trade. But I also think in the sense of I'm looking for kind of instant gratification a lot of the times with these day trades. It shouldn't be a day trade where I take it and I wait 2 or 3 hours to get that reaction, right? And so it's always determining what works best for you. find what works best in that process. And that's what we're all about here on Live Trading.
No question about it. And if you're interested in a alongside trade, you can take a look at Meta, as that one is right above VWAP. Coming to test it one more time. Could be a solid risk reward. I would risk off around 214.30s or so. So risking about 60 cents. You've got a high of the day of approximately 216. So definitely have a chance to make money on that. Again, we are long, so I am a bit biased to the long side. Long 3 micro E-mini contracts at 41.65. And on the crude oil side of things, now testing VWAP. So this is unfortunately. So look at that again. Popped up, retested the level. Now it's kind of looking to go above and beyond VWAP here. I'm not going to get into that trade again. I'm looking to go short if it does go ahead and break my levels to the downside. My heavy scalping days, the commissions get crazy. Oh yeah, I used to scalp in 2021. No, excuse me, 2022. I would scalp options like crazy. I'm talking like 20, 30 contracts. I'm getting in 5 cents, 5 cents out, this, that, the other. And I realized as I was going through this experiment that I think about 60 to 65% of my profit was eaten up by fees. Thankfully, then I had E-Trade negotiate that down to like 20, 30 cents. But Thinkorswim was just horrendous when it came to those type of fees. By the way, we're moving up a little bit here. We're approximately less than 2 points away from taking gains on the futures trade that we currently have on.
Love it. Love it. Looking for a little bit higher now as the SPY gets to that 413. We recovered right back up there. So going to look for that to keep going. And I mentioned in the chat that I want to definitely mention, like always, we try to call out industries. Smoke tuna. Money moving to medical devices. I've been talking about one area in medical devices. One stock is MDT. Look how that's reacting today. And the nice little big up day there in medical devices. So you guys can look to see what have I been talking about in healthcare. I was talking about the lagging industries starting to make a move while the leading industries start to take a pullback. Leading industries, drug manufacturers, the majors, right? So what would I expect? Like Lilly making pullbacks, like Merck making pullback, right? Those types of stocks that have made a big move recently. But I'm looking for others to start making the move. That's why I'm in DXCM. That's diagnostics and research. That's pushing higher. That's one of my swing trades. And I'm looking to see if diagnostics research, medical devices, healthcare plans. I know ELV reported today. That's pulling back.
How about Abbott Labs? Ticker
Abbott
ABT.
Labs. Abbott Labs falls into medical devices. And there you go. You start seeing it really kind of getting that lift, right? So one thing that I look for all the time is when I see a certain sector make an up move, look into the industries. Look to see if there's one that's lagging and could start getting moving, right? The leader laggard style trading. That's what I like to trade a lot of the times. Why? Because I feel like relationships just work, right? Abbott Labs takes an up move today. And of course, what do you see? You see others in that industry start to make an up move. Why? It's just sympathy, right? I mean, if one's doing well in the industry, probably the other one is doing well in the industry too. It's overall industry outlook that helps them. Sympathy plays. We'll see what happens.
By the way, you guys know I've been in the car market for a minute here, and I'm like closer and
we're getting cars? We're going to get a car finally?
So here's the thing. I know exactly what car I want. It's the Kia K5 2022 EX. But the thing that I'm struggling with is so I want black exterior. Interior can kind of depend on what it is. But I want I don't know why my Siri just started freaking out, but that's kind of weird. But it's I will find a car that has the features I want, but not the exterior I want, or it has the exterior I want, but not the features I want. So we're this much closer to the point where I literally made an Excel doc of which ones I'm looking at because I was just getting overwhelmed. But the reason I bring all of this up is I don't know if y'all have heard of the car dealership guy. We've reached out to him to possibly have him come on a show and just kind of talk cars later on, just so we can have a different type of guest on the show. So if you guys are interested in that, just type one in the chat so we know how many people would be interested to talk to car dealership guy. And if you guys have never heard of him, there is his Twitter handle. He's got a solid following there as well, about 350,000 followers.
All right, team, trying to get in this WAL trade. We'll see what happens on that one, but definitely that sounds pretty cool to me, Zunaid. I definitely would tune in.
Yeah. By the way, you've got CXAI looking to pop above 11 one more time, testing it, now getting rejected for 20 cents. That one's looking to find its way above. And you've also got our E-mini trade still in the green.
But sounds 11, like we're getting some ones there rolling through.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll reach out to him again and see if he's interested. It's just that we've never done this type, at least I personally haven't done this type of show where it's not stocks and financials related, or it is financially related, but not stock related. But nonetheless, focusing in here on CXAI as that one's looking to pop above 11. Let's put it on the minute chart because that'll get my heart rate up, and that's what it needs to burn calories, apparently. That's what I should do. Just get into high pressure situations so I can burn calories.
Yeah, I don't think that's good for your heart long term, though. I don't think that's good for your heart long term. Zunaid, check it out.
That's the one. So not the 2023, but the 2025, or excuse me, 2025, 2022 is the one that I'm checking out. So, yep, that's the car.
There you go. There you go. We'll see what you get, my friend.
Here, let me see where is my
no pullback entry for that WAL. Looking for the pullback here in the 38. SPY starting to top a little bit here. So just kind of keeping an eye on it. Want to see Goldman Sachs get through 335 so I can take that profits, use it for taking a shot in WAL.
VYNE here going for 450, some size there at 450. We'll see if this gets taken out. I've got it marked at 451, but for, 450 is the same. We'll see if they take this and pop it. I'm almost thinking that it might pop a knife, which is what I would like to avoid. But we'll see. We'll watch how strong this actually is.
I, too, would like to avoid a knife.
There it goes to 55, and there's the immediate yank back. Saw that one coming a mile away.
Nice call. Nice call.
Keeping an eye on Goldman Sachs here as the SPY moves higher. I want to get the profits as I just got the pullback entry for WAL there on the pullback right there at the 38s. I got 38.03 here. Going to hold off 37.70 and look to see if we can go higher, but got to take the profits in Goldman Sachs here. So really closely watching it to see if we can get that next little up move, take the profits and run at least in that one.
And VYNE here moving back. So that knife just kind of shook out some of the weak hands. Let's see if we can get above 455 here. A little bit more size there that they took. Might be going here, VYNE.
Daniel, that's awesome. Yeah, let me know how you like your GT line. I'm looking at the EX.
Is that is the GT like a performance versus the EX?
So it's interesting. You have the GT line, then you have the EX, then you have the GT. And I'm like, really? Why you got to make this confusing? So I think the
GT twice in there, so I'm still
confused. What I'm saying. Exactly. And I'm like, why would you do this? But
GT.
It's like, bro, come on, man.
Man, VYNE, that was a nice move there through 450, up at 467 here now. Definitely showing some strength. It's the volume that's accounting for that. VYNE didn't even wait for the afternoon. Let's see if we take the top off here, 477.
I can tell you right now, man, I've had to be really patient with this GS trade. We got in this one really early. I've just been working it. Let's see if we can finally get it into the 335s, the targets that I've been after. I'm looking for that last little push. Here's 334.87s. SPY giving us a little push towards 413.25s. Let's see if I can finally get out of Goldman Sachs and start to see Wall start to climb.
I did go ahead and get filled on my limit order, so that one is locked and loaded. We did go ahead and take gains on that one. I did go ahead and also get filled on CXAI here at 11.05. Stop loss for me is going to be approximately, where is that, 30 cents or so. But I do want to be a little bit more greedy with this one as soon as I can go ahead and get out of this. I'm going to look to get, I'm not going to be greedy. I just lied. I'm just going to take about $40 on that one if I can, because I want to go ahead and focus on this trade here. Ticker CG, you just had $30 calls come in on the ask, and you can see a pop. If we put the minute chart up, you'll see an increase in volume too. Boom, right there. CG, you've got $30 calls coming in on the ask, expiring this week, approximately $140,000 worth. So that's already getting a move to the upside. They went ahead and paid about $1 for those contracts. So keep an eye on it. It's a weekly trade. I think this definitely, if it gets momentum, can go ahead. Now, it's not a big mover in terms of percentages, if you will, but you are getting more volume coming into this one, as you can see right before our eyes. Looking at CXAI, that trade is, it was so close.
Taking profits in Goldman Sachs.
Matt, awesome job buying the knife on Vine. You must be up nicely here, being rewarded. Make sure you take some of those gains. Do not let this trade come back in.
I took my gains there in Goldman Sachs, so definitely I'll hit that register there. Can't be mad about that one. Good gain there on Goldman Sachs, and what this gives me the ability to do is to continue to just let WAL work and KRE work. We'll see what happens on the SPY. Saw a little bit of some topping action there. And can Goldman Sachs continue? Yes, but I need to start taking profits there and making sure that I'm paying myself so I can take some more shots. I took another shot in WAL. Let's see if we can make that run to 39. I'll sell it all out and just get out of it. So that's a nice 25-cent risk for what? A 75-cent gain. What is that to me? That's a nice 3-to-1 outlook. Let's go.
What an annoying trade on CXAI. So we had entry at 1105. Beautiful entry. I'm very happy with it. Look at this. We had our take profits at 1145, and the high on this candle is 1145. I mean, just brutal to not get filled on that. Very unfortunate, but we'll see if we go ahead and get stopped out or not. Would not be surprised if this actually wants to test VWAP. Matter of fact, here's what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to look to go ahead and capture another 100 shares near VWAP if it does want to come back and test it. But nonetheless, unfortunate. Quite unfortunate.
VYM is still going here. Go, Matt. Go, Matt. Go, Matt.
Ooh, $5. Yep, look at that. $5 rejection there.
$5 holla.
Tesla, that 180 level held.
Very nice.
Nice. Tesla went ahead and held the 180 level after it popped it. So look at that. We knew that was a line, popped above, VWAP right there for support. We called out this one that if you like this trade to the long side, that was a solid entry to the upside there. CXAI still trying to figure things out. We're waiting for a pop to 1150 so we can lock in gains. Looks like you're getting a little bit more volume coming into that one. Let's see what else we've got. Don't really care about that anymore. This one's coming up. Nope, look at that. Nice rejection.
Little downturn there in W8L. Hasn't gotten me out, but definitely hit the support there at 37.75. We'll look to see if this goes a little bit higher. Goldman Sachs now 334.93s. Can you get to that 335 and keep going? I already took the profits. I was just like, you know what, man, 10 cents really isn't going to change too much here. Let's just take the profits and run. We'll see what happens in KRE. Can that keep going higher? Got in this one at 43. Look how far the VWAP is now. It's at 43.22. So with that one being said on KRE, I'm just going to let this work. Break even, stop me out. If not, if it gets through the 43.60 area, that's really where we have resistance. And I could see us going to 44. I'll take it all out at 44 if I could get it up there.
All right, man. I'm going to go ahead and get ready for the interview that we have coming up at 11 o'clock with the chairman and interim CEO, Krishna, which ticker, by the way, is PRST. It's been moving. It's got a lot of things going on, so it should be a fun discussion. AI is always fun to talk about, but I'm going to go ahead and get ready for that. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. See y'all shortly.
Good luck.
Got it, Zunaid. See you in a little bit.
Good luck with that. And PRST actually looking pretty nice here today. Another good volume day. 309 marks the top. This might still be in play today, especially depending on what the CEO has to say today. Maybe we'll get some insight into what they're going to do to move forward here and grow.
Well, there it is. Goldman Sachs into the 335s. And yeah, probably sold a little bit earlier on that one. But why did I sell earlier on that one? Well, I needed some profits to get after this WAL. Let's see if this can get back through the 38s, get a little bit higher. KRE, can we go higher through that 43.60 area? We'll see what happens there. DXCM, about to get towards my first profit take. Another little push here, and I'm going to be able to take half off as we get through the 3% there for DXCM. And I don't mind. If I can get 3% gain on a stock here that's over $100, I'll take it. So we'll see what happens. We're almost there. I just need the tiniest little bit more to take about half off here. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a push here into like 122.50s. Then I'll take it off. Actually, we'll do just above here in the 30s.
BA, I know this is a stock that we look at here. Quantum saying BA doing really well after the news about fewer, I think you meant 737 MAX planes, probably just a typo there. Thing about Boeing here, I know Ryan's interested in Boeing too. We're currently in this sideways range here, right? So the only way I see new trades happening here is if you're going to trade this range, right? So if you come into this 193 and hold it, maybe you trade that for a move back up to 220. Conversely, if you want to, short it at 220 or buy puts at 220, you could play it down to the bottom of that range. Really, a breakout of this range would signify the next swing trade on Boeing. If we break out to the upside, swing long, break down through 193, I'd probably put this at 170 as a potential downside target, likely to find some resistance at 180 as well on Boeing.
All right, let's see if this can really start moving here. Just trying to take some out on DXCM. I'll let you guys know if I get some out here just above it. Just watching the KRE to see if we get that next lift through 4350s. What I like about it is we're getting stair step up and no pullback to the VWAP. So just going to look for that to continue pushing higher. So you see how we're not going back here. We're just going to keep climbing. All right, that DXEM, I got an order out into the 122.30 area. If we can get a nice little last little push, and look how this just went green all day. That's what I like to see, team. All right, Honeywell still right by my entry here. So this is one that I'll be talking about, of course, on the start swing trading, looking for pullbacks to 195 to add. Could add here, but that what that do is that increases risk and a lot of times stops me out right where I want to get in. WAL taking a downturn here. Could stop me out here through the 70s. Just got out there on WAL. That's a downturn there. So you could see some financials turn around here. Now in KRE, I get a little bit more careful here and going to look to see if it gets through 4350s, but don't want it to break this pattern right here and coming in towards like the 4330s right now. If that happens, this could just be a top. What do you see here? Kind of like a head and shoulders on the intraday, right? We'll look to see if we can actually get it back through 4350s. If not, we could just get out at 4330s. Let's see what happens. All right, so that stop out in WAL, that's why I wanted to take the profit in Goldman Sachs, because that profit there just covered that loss on WAL. So that's what it's all about sometimes, is just trying to be what? Risk preservation mode, right? So I already had some gains. I took them off on Goldman Sachs. That covered the trade there in WAL. So I'm not going to stress about that. We'll look to see if that reverses back to the upside. But now looking to see also if DHR can play a little catch up. This is a swing trade that I have on. Of course, DXEM pushing higher here, looking to get a little bit more profits. That's a swing trade, and that's going to be into the 3% area. So that's not looking too bad at all. Gilead, another one that I have in the healthcare space. We'll look to see if this can keep holding on the day. And I'll kick it to the overall market as we just pulled off that 413.50 area. And I've just been kind of grinding higher today, but not a big move, just a kind of little stair step. All right, we got about 10 minutes left before we get Zunaid joining him back here to get into the interview. Of course, Ryan, if you got to get out of here, you're more than welcome to, my friend. If not, stick around.
Yeah, I am going to get rolling here. My scanner is actually completely dried up. I am going to watch Vine. I was thinking we were going to get a move in Vine later. Kind of got it a little bit earlier. A couple more stocks we'll just check in on that were on the list here this morning. CJJD. This is, of course, China Jojo drugstores. We're actually below the VWAP, but we really haven't broken down as quickly as I thought we might. So as long as this holds up here, maybe we do get a move through this VWAP here on volume. Some of these Chinese names really have crazy moves. We'll keep this on watch and see if we get this in the afternoon here. Excuse me. I'm obviously going to be watching Vine. I still think that this might break 5 here, but otherwise kind of dried up here. We're going to watch how Tesla trades. Remember, Tesla's earnings after market here today. I am out for today. Good luck to Zunaid on that interview, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, let's keep going. Let's see what else is going on here, team. Let's see if I can get this KRE move a little bit higher here. Looking for that push through the 4350s, 4360 area to keep just pushing. Took the KRE today. Now I just want to see it climb, climb, climb. We've taken some good profits on this one. So I've taken about half out already. Just want to see it literally kind of just push through the daily level. Daily level is very important to watch here. You can see the daily level. This is kind of like what I would call a 3 or 4 star level for Joel. Can we get it through the kind of 43.60 area and then make our way to 44? Doesn't look too bad if we can actually start running through here through the 43.60s and just continue higher. I'll keep riding that one up, especially if we can keep pushing. Still no profits there for that DXEM. I'll let you guys know if I'm able to take some out there. Now we're in the 50s here. Can we get a little bit more run? Looking at FAS also. This one looks like it's trying to scout through 64.25s. It's just been slowly working its way, but hasn't come back to VWAP since about 10.10. Ali, I don't mind checking out stocks, but please don't just be kind of repetitive and spammy in the chat. That's easily how you get put into timeout. I don't need to be putting anybody into a corner. Let's all act like adults. We don't need to put up a ticker 30 times, right? All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other stocks here on the day. SPY overall looks like it wants to continue climbing the wall, continue climbing that wall of worry on the day. Let's take a look at the sectors. Sectors overall, real estate leading, utilities after that. Then you got financial services. That's what I'm looking to continue higher, which is financial services. I'll look for healthcare to continue higher also. Industrials, let's see if this can turn, get back to the upside here. I like Honeywell. Just not going to add here. We'll see what happens to Lockheed Martin. That's pulling back today. Boeing pulling back a little bit today. So keep your eyes on those. Consumer defensive names. Let's see what happens to the discount stores. Walmart had a good day yesterday, pulling back today a little bit. Can these stay strong? Will Costco break to 500? This is one that I'm definitely keeping an eye out. I like the daily chart, how you just keep kind of stair stepping here. Will we get the break to the 500 on Costco? At least was one thing that you can clearly see is that now you're starting to see where support is, at least in the short term. For me, 493s is a level that I could go off of if I was expecting this to get that break to 500. Doesn't look too bad. This is one that I'm going to be looking at for pullbacks here. Let's see if we can get a pullback to VWAP. It's just pulled back to 496. I'm going to look for a pullback to 495.64s. But if we can get that pullback, I wouldn't mind taking my shot on Costco. This would be more of a swing trade outlook. But like always, you guys stick up with me. Check me out. I'll start swing trading. That's going to be later today, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. I'll talk about this maybe with Option Mike, see what he sees out there. But definitely keeping an eye out on some of these discount stores. Dollar Tree pulling back today. DG, they're going up just a tiny bit here. Let's see another one. Target, how's that doing? Target's starting to come back here. BJ a little bit higher. That makes me a little bit more confident on that Costco move if BJ is going to be moving higher. So Costco maybe through 500. Doesn't look like too bad of a play. We'll find out. All right, catching up with the chat. What else is being mentioned? Notice solar stocks sold off. Yes, it can very much happen. When technology gets down, a lot of the times the higher beta ones, especially solar. Solar has a tendency of moving fast. When technology turns around, solar turns around just as fast. So we'll see what happens. EMPH turning around today, going into the red here. Let's take a look at the SPY. SPY starting to top out a little bit here. So we'll see what happens as we're up there towards 413.50 area. And can this continue to just keep climbing the wall of worry today? That's what we'll find out. KRE got into that 43.50s, got to 43.55s, turned around last time from 43.63s. Can we get it through that? Can the regional banks continue to run today? That's what I'll be looking at. KRE, top play of the day. Not a bad one at all. You guys smashed the like. You guys know what it was. Definitely the trade of the day on this KRE. Not bad on that trade of the day. We'll look to see if we can keep climbing higher on this one. Goldman Sachs pulled back from that 335 little break. We'll look to see if this one just keeps holding the VWAP. Morgan Stanley, look at that climb right back here, team. Right where it came from on the earnings. It got hit, went down. It's right back. That's why I was keeping an eye on Morgan Stanley right out the gates here. You can see that one went strong. And is Schwab still making a move? Ooh, nice little move in Schwab today, 3.54%. This was also in the Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley space, right? You guys seeing that? Take a nice little lift. Capital markets, Schwab with a nice little pullback around the 55. Now right back to 56. Nice little move there for Schwab. If you guys were able to catch that one. I know I don't have a piece of it, but not looking too bad. All right, in just a few seconds, we'll be joined by Zunaid again, and he'll be getting into our interview. That'll be coming up with PRST, right? And so just stick around, team. We got a lot for you guys. Smash the like. Some more for you guys right here on Benzinga. Let's get back to the SPY. SPY starting to kind of little top. Can we get that next little ride higher? That's why I'm watching the KRE to see if we can start to push. But if we look at some regional banks today, MTB, not looking too bad there. Now starting to get a little bit higher. And look at FRC. Maybe this starts to push again, right? I'm not in this one just because I feel like there's still some risk in this one. This one could be the negative one out of the few. But PNC taking off today, that shows me a little bit more of a sign of confidence. Look at this candle. Had its earnings, pullback day yesterday, now breaking through that high. This doesn't look too bad here for the regional banks. We'll see if this can just continue to push what? KRE higher. A close through the 44s towards 45. And this is going to be actually looking like a little bit of a reversal action. So that's why I'm hanging tight right now instead of just running towards the profits here at the 43.50 spot. Find out what happens there on KRE and, of course, the overall market. Can we hang green today? We've been green since the open. We'll find out if we do get some type of flip action. What's going on, Zunaid? How we doing?
We're doing well, man. Clean myself up a little bit so I can look presentable. And we've got an exciting interview with Krishna Gupta, who is the chairman and interim CEO of ticker PRST, Press Automation. AI has been the hot buzz all around town for quite some time now. I wish I had AI back in high school, middle school. Maybe my GPA would have been better than a 2.6, but, you know, it's all right. We'll do better things with it now.
I know how that one goes, Zunaid. And I mean, at the end of the day, you know, with the AI kind of moves that we have right now, what we really need more and more is the stories behind the companies, right? What are their expectations? What's the pipeline? What's the looking forward? I always talk about, do companies meet expectations? That's what we all look for as investors. So excited to hear about your interview coming up and uncovering a new story. So you guys stick around, smash that like if you guys enjoyed live trading. I'm going to go ahead and let Zunaid take over here and get right into your interview. See you next time, my friend. Take care.
All right, my pal. See you tomorrow morning. But yeah, like we mentioned, AI has been kind of like the hot new thing in town. And there's so many different types of AIs, right? But we want to make sure that we can go ahead and get you voices from executives from publicly traded companies. So your questions in the chat, which by the way, feel free to put them, can go ahead and get answered. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and bring in Krishna Gupta. Krishna, how's it going?
Hey guys, good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Pleasure to talk to you today. I appreciate you spending some time with us today. I know your technology is in restaurants like McDonald's, Applebee's, Chili's, Outback. But if you could explain it to me like I'm five, what is it that your company does?
Yeah, look, our company is very simple. It's an enterprise AI business for restaurants, and our most important application is just automating every drive-through in this country using generative voice AI. What that effectively means is that we're using machines and computers instead of humans to take your orders. In the drive-through, for restaurant chains, that obviously saves them some labor costs, or you can use the labor in more productive ways. But perhaps most importantly, we're able to upsell. So we're able to get consumers through these drive-thrus, give them the chocolate shake they never knew that they wanted until they arrived, and suddenly you've got 5-6% extra sales flowing right through the bottom line of these restaurants. So that's the sort of play. It's very simple to understand. It's very much a right here, right now kind of situation because the technology has just come to the place where it can actually be deployed and be used in this way and be accurate enough. And at the same time, you've got the market opportunity that is staring you in the face. This is one of the most immediately actionable applications of what everyone's hearing and talking about, which is AI in the enterprise.
Yeah, I love that. And so what's interesting to me is the upsell part that you mentioned, because I know, so I worked retail for a little bit, and obviously the bosses would say, hey, make sure you go and upsell XYZ. I would kind of feel awkward doing it. I didn't want to seem sleazy, or I would just forget. I got too many things going on. With an AI, it doesn't really have feelings. So they can just go ahead and automatically make sure you go ahead and upsell. And I assume that's how the company who's purchasing your technology goes ahead and has their revenue increase? You've seen that trend go up and up and up?
Yeah, I talk a lot about like that perfect upsell, and it's almost like playing a video game when it's like you've got only 4 or 5 buttons on this controller, and we all used to play Mortal Kombat or whatever. How do you mash those buttons up in the exact perfect way to spit out that fireball at the perfect time? That's what an upsell is. You've got relatively few things. You've got to figure out the main meal, the drink, the dessert, and the sizes of all those things. But a human being forgets to do it. They don't really have any skin in the game to do it. They don't feel comfortable doing it. If they do it, they'll just do the same thing over and over. The AI never forgets. The AI is increasingly able to figure out, well, it's Krishna. He freaking loves chocolate, so we're going to make sure we give him the chocolate shake. And over time, like, we'll layer in computer vision to be able to personalize these things. But right now, it's very simple. We'll do it every time. We'll make sure that there's like the right sizing. We'll personalize it by time of day. And yeah, we're seeing the results. I mean, we're sort of seeing right now 5 to 6% upsell rates, which is really valuable.
Well, you know, what's interesting is the customization, because when I was doing research for this interview, I saw that obviously in the summertime, you may offer more of a colder type of beverage, where in the wintertime, you're offering more of a hot type of beverage as well. So that's something that can be advantageous to the restaurant that's acquiring your technology as well. I believe you had a deal recently with Del Taco. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, look, Del Taco is a very strong, regional brand and chain that is, it provides tacos and other Mexican cuisine, and they're very excited about the opportunity, exactly the way I outlined it. And for us, these regional chains are just the beginning, but they're a very important driver in any technology adoption curve. We first start seeing the large regional chains adopt. They're forward thinkers, so the Checkers CEO, she's a real forward thinker. The Del Taco CEO and the innovation team there, very forward thinkers. So we've had a blast working with them. We're in the process of rolling it out, across the country. And yeah, I mean, I always ask people the simple question, which is, given what now all you've read about AI and generative AI, do you see human beings taking your order in the drive-through 3 years from now?
No.
Like no, right? It just feels like an obvious, like, wow, this is ridiculous that we're still doing it. When you reach that point in the technology adoption curve, it's like full on just land grab. And we happen to be the market leader by far in this space. So we're just focused on making sure we capture that opportunity.
You know, it's interesting because a few years ago, there was all these conversations when I was in college and high school about, oh, cashiers won't be the ones at Walmart. I'll give you an example, to go ahead and check you out. And I was like, yeah, whatever, you're crazy. Dude, I've been going to Walmart for the past year now, and it blows my mind that I do not see a single human being, and I live down south, checking out my orders or anything like that. I mean, I get to play with the little gun and price tag and everything else. So it's fun. So yeah, I agree. It's crazy to kind of think about in the advancement of things. Is there anything else in the pipeline that our folks should know about? Because I feel like sometimes with companies, there's so much noise out there, right? What is it that folks may be missing that you can tell us that's in the pipeline that you're allowed to, or just anything that's in the thick of things for your company right now?
Well, look, like I said, there's a whole slew of chains that we are talking to, and that's public information in the sense that there's a lot more customers in our pipeline. In fact, right now I'm sitting in the office of the group that led our pipe investment when we went public, which is Cleveland Avenue, run by the former CEO of McDonald's, right? So partners like this around the table have high connectivity. We know all the chains, and we're talking to everyone. And so that's from a commercial standpoint, in a commercial pipeline, we have a lot of opportunity in the near term, and frankly, too much to handle. And so we're just trying to scale up our sales team fast enough to meet that demand. And then there's sort of a technology roadmap and an AI roadmap, right? And part of that is, how do we continuously increase the performance of our system? I think maybe you or some of the viewers may have read about our partnership with OpenAI. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is an investor in our company, has been a longtime friend of our founder, and so we are, we were already going down the path of large language model sort of integration into some of our other AI models that we're working on. But obviously, this partnership we think will help us accelerate some of that, which is great. And then we've got some other things. I mean, like I said in the drive-through, we over time, over the next couple of years, we will integrate that computer vision technology to be able to personalize things. So The really unique thing about our company is actually we understand the industry really well. We've been in the industry for 10 years, so we know how to integrate. We know how to do the pipeline. We know how to sell to corporates and franchisees and roll that across region by region. But then we also have deep expertise in our DNA on technology, on both hardware and software. We've been doing voice AI for 2 years. So in that sense, there really is no other company that comes close to having both sides, locked down the way we do, and that I think is what drives our market advantage.
I think the open AI is, because I wanted to talk to you about your competitors and what you feel like gives you the edge. One of them, I believe, is the OpenAI deal that you have, especially having, the CEO, the leader there being, invested in the company and being good friends there. And you've got, like you mentioned, the McDonald's partnership there as well. Are there any other competitive advantages that you have that you believe over your competitors in this space?
Well, we have many, but what I just mentioned is an important one, is the coupling of the industry experience. And when we talk to chains, right, over time, some of this generative voice AI technology will get commoditized, right? And we'll keep improving it. We'll keep making it more human-like, more predictive, more personalized. But we're going to have to stay ahead of that curve, and that's an important advantage we have. But the other side of this is that we talk to these customers, and for them it's very important that we understand what an enterprise restaurant chain looks like, and how do you integrate into their POS systems? How do you integrate into their loyalty systems? Can you handle the rollout with franchisee X in Florida and then franchisee Y in Arizona, and understand how to meet their needs and customize regionally, and then also give technology and software for the corporate to be able to monitor across the whole nation, like what a particular store is doing, and is it live? Is it not live? How is the technology working? All of that enterprise-grade technology is a massive competitive advantage. If someone were to start this company today, even let's say they had the best voice AI technology, they would not be able to do this.
Yeah, that's it's definitely not just about being first, but obviously being best. And it looks like you guys are doing just that. The data is what's key to me. That's the most important part, obviously, to protect it as a company as well for the consumer, but also what you can do with that data, especially if the technology gets to the point where it's so customizable, where it's like, hey, Zunaid has pulled up, typically Zunaid gets XYZ. Then you have that data, which you can, with permission of the consumer, go ahead and sell to XYZ brands and consumers and things like that. So I guess my question here is, are there any plans to monetize outside of the drive-through with the data that you will collect, whether it's from the individual themselves or from the collective individuals that are going through the drive-through?
Sure. I mean, look, I think there's a lot of data that already we're collecting with some of our business and our rollout on the tabletop and the touch process, touch business. I think for the customers, if we just look at the customers which we're laser focused on and care about, data is very valuable for them in many different ways. They want to understand what their customers like, what their customers don't like. So, for example, I talked about the drive-through, so let's focus on that for a second. Starbucks recently, or a few months ago, rolled out a pistachio latte, and I frankly happen to love pistachios, and so it was an amazing drink, love it. But there's not that effective of a way for them to gather customer feedback on it. Now imagine I go through a drive-through and I say, hey, 1 pistachio latte, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, hey, thanks, before you leave, what do you think of the pistachio latte? And now you catch a customer at the point of sale, and you catch them and get a real-time reaction in a very conversational way. You're going to drive authentic customer sentiment that way, right? And that opens up a whole new world of data that you can monetize directly with that customer. The customer can make use of that. Forget about taking that data and monetizing it elsewhere. So I think there's a whole world of applications that come when you expand the inputs that come in from customers, whether that's using voice or video over time, and then also when you start closing the loop, right? And say, okay, they come through the drive-through, we're going to close the loop right at the point of sale by trying to capture sentiment.
Yeah, I mean, look, whether it's a relationship or a business, feedback and communication is definitely key. So that can definitely be a big asset there. We've talked about a lot. We've covered a lot. Is there any other topic that you wanted to kind of discuss with our viewers and potential investors that I did not bring up that you were hoping to address? The floor is kind of yours.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Look, we are very focused. Our name is Presto. We are focused on creating magic for our customers, for our shareholders, for our colleagues, and that's one of my major mantras across the company. And this as well, right? So I have a bunch of different companies in my portfolio. I've never seen a situation where cutting edge technology and pressing market opportunity because of labor costs going up and so on collide in this immediate way. And so I think, when you're a shareholder, whether you're a shareholder of our company or whether you're thinking of becoming a shareholder of our company, right, that should be what gets you most excited about our opportunities, that we have the market leadership. We came out of MIT, we had the tech DNA, right? And on the other side, we understand this industry. I mean, we put out a press release yesterday about the Restaurant Leadership Conference. We're the only voice AI company at the Restaurant Leadership Conference, right? What does that tell you about anyone else's ability to, and that's one of the most important places to be if you're selling to customers, right? So if you believe it's inevitable that in 2 to 3 years drive-thrus will be automated, right? Here we are. We're ready to rock and roll. So I'm always, accessible over Twitter, over whatever. I like to engage. Obviously, I'm never going to share anything that I can't share, but I'm most interested in getting our story out there.
And I appreciate that. And forgive me, I do have one question. I know we talked a lot about drive-through. Any other pipelines outside of drive-through that y'all are focused on that you're able to talk about?
Well, we have our sort of core business, our legacy business, which is our touch business, which is offering tabletop devices where you can order, play, you can pay on there. You can also make it a handheld device. It's actually a very powerful product. We're giving a lot of thought. We don't talk about it a lot because I believe that when you have a land grab situation like we do on the voice AI side, every marginal dollar and sort of conversation and bandwidth should be focused on your highest opportunity as a company. But we actually think that there's a real opportunity on the touch business to expand that as well, and perhaps even beyond the restaurant vertical, because we have a very strong enterprise-grade product there. So maybe there's more to come there, and happy to share as we evolve that over time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That is the CEO of Presto Automation, ticker PRST, Krishna Gupta. Krishna, if you ever need a voice for AI, you know how to find me. Appreciate you hanging out with us today, pal.
See you guys. Take care.
Love the story of AI. Love what they're doing in the company. And I'm glad that, you talked about the legacy business, because look, AI, whether we like it or not, is definitely something that's interesting to me. I mean, we talked about the ring, right, that I'm currently wearing, where you gather all this data to customize, hey, here's how you can improve your quality of life. In terms of the restaurant business, it kind of helps in terms of like, hey, would you like this? Or, hey, folks, how whenever you purchase something on whether it's Amazon or anywhere else, it says, I think it's somewhere on the lines of like, folks that have purchased this have also purchased Y, right? And I feel like that's something that is happening with Presto, with these drive-through, where it's like, hey, someone gets a double cheeseburger also likes to get large fries, or whatever the case may be, with the upsells that we've talked about. And obviously you have companies like McDonald's, Outback, Applebee's, Chili's, and now Del Taco getting involved. So it's definitely an interesting story for sure. I appreciate that, Easy Mike. I would love to listen to myself 24/7 as well. But that was awesome. Do your own due diligence. As always, we hope we answered the questions that y'all had in the chat. Make sure you follow the story. Make sure you follow the stock. Do your own due diligence to see if it's worth your hard-earned money being invested in. And we appreciate you for watching the interview, and we will see you tomorrow on Live Trading. Y'all have a good day.